Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle. My two co-hosts are not here yet. Reed most likely will not be joining us for this episode. Hall will be here very, very soon. He just left work about 20 minutes ago, so he should be stopping in here soon. The title of this episode, it's Brick by Brick. And thank you for joining us tonight in the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. And I butchered that, but it's all good. And thankfully, brought in very good friend of this podcast, very knowledgeable man himself, Mr. Ian Cummings, IC Draft on Twitter from PFN. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, Ian. How you doing?
Doing good, doing good, doing a little bit better now that the NFL draft is finally in the rearview mirror, right? It's a lot of fun leading up to it, but at a certain point, you're like, all right, let's see what's going to happen. So we know what happened. We have the results to review and a lot of fun stuff, especially for the Commanders. I really liked what they did.
Yeah, it's funny because when the offseason started, Ian, I said, obviously Washington having a number 2 overall pick, this is going to be one of the craziest off seasons, along with the coaching change, a GM change, and it did not disappoint because I was completely confused the entire time leading up to it. But, like you said, the prospect fatigue happened probably in early March is when truly
Yeah.
it happened. But before we get into the quarterback, I want to talk about the second round pick, Mr. Johnny Newton. I call him John McClain because regardless of what the offense wants to do, he disrupts it, and he's a cog in whatever they're trying to do. The guy is ferocious. Talk to us about Johnny Newton and how you expect his fit to be here in Washington.
Yeah, it's an apt nickname for him because it definitely fits for sure. I think one of the most consistent disruptors just in the class positionally, regardless of position, in my opinion, he was a top 15 talent for me. I know medicals push him down the board, but if he can stay healthy, and I remember Jonathan Allen was, regarded by many as a potential top 10 pick, and he
Yep.
fell to 16 because of some arthritic issues, and it hasn't really hurt him so far. So everyone is a case by case basis, but you do need to, you can look at that. So Johnny Newton was one of those guys that I circled, and I think I tweeted about it a couple times leading up to the draft. Like, hey, if I'm the Commanders, like I understand DT isn't an immediate need, but if Johnny Newton is there, I would not pass up that value because what he can do for that unit is so special. You got Deron Payne who can play a little bit one tech, three tech. He's powerful, explosive. John Allen is that disruptor at three tech. I think Johnny Newton really fits Dan Quinn's scheme because he can be that alignment versatile force outside of those guys, right? He can play three tech if you need him to. He can play four eye, but there's some really impressive reps at five tech, whether it's, playing face up with the tackle and holding strong in run defense or winning with ankle flexion around the apex too. So just an alignment versatile disruptor with that hot motor with really good hand usage. Really like the fit. And I think exactly what you still needed on that defensive line, he can provide it.
It was amazing. I watched his Wisconsin tape against Wisconsin, and there was this one where they did the rub route, and he goes around the outside and just runs around the left guard and the left tackle and nearly gets the sack on it. But just showing that for a guy that big, very quick and very fast, he's ferocious. I cannot wait to see how he fits into this defense. But talk to me about Mike Sarenstill, because this guy being 5'9", 182 pounds, he is a playmaker, man. 6 interceptions. What he does with the ball in his hands, obviously a playmaker here. Talk to me about Mike, and do you like this fit with this defense as well?
I like the fit a lot because they needed pretty much anything at corner. And I still have questions about boundary corner. That's probably one of the bigger question marks on the team. Now, I understand you got to let Emmanuel Forbes try and rebound, right? You can't just bury him right away. You got to see if he can rebound from that rookie year. So, I'm willing to see that through. But I think Mike Sainristil is a guy who makes your defense smarter and better on day one. One of the most intelligent DBs that I saw in the class, bar none. The route intelligence, the ability to manage route relationships and zone coverage as well, pass off and carry. He's so good with the rules there. Very quick trigger, very good vision coming downhill as well. And then he's got the fluidity, he's got the twitch, like you said, he's got the ball skills. He's a former wide receiver, actually. So he's got that, unique, innate instinct to make a play on the ball. Very physical and run support as well. You wouldn't expect it, but for a guy with his size, he will get right up in your grill. He will engage and deconstruct blocks, and he's a great blitzer as well. So I think the versatility as a playmaker is very exciting too. So boundary corner is still an issue for me, but I think Sanders still can be a high-level nickel defender with that playmaking versatility that you crave.
Dude, the one thing that really stood out to me with Sarenstill, Ian, the first 3 years he played wide receiver at Michigan. Well, then he comes in obviously this year playing nickel, and the one thing that on film when you watch him, a lot of communication. he's talking to his guys constantly. And that's not something you see off somebody playing a new position their last year, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I do believe he played some at the high school level as well.
Okay.
I think it was a two-way player, so he played corner and wide receiver. So it wasn't a completely new thing for him,
Okay.
but I do think it shows like the level of college football is different. So it does show his ability to acclimate, but also his ability as a defensive leader. Like you said, communication, very important at the NFL level, even more so. So I think again, he's going to be a guy, he's a little older, but I think it shows with his experience, his intelligence, and he'll make you better on day one. And I think right away can be a really solid piece in the nickel spot.
And now we are joined by our beautiful co host, Mr. Michael Hall. Do you have a question for Ian, sir?
Oh, you're talking to me. You said beautiful. I was like, I know what you're talking
Very nice.
about. Now, do you ask him about Coleman yet?
Nope.
Well, in that case, obviously, a lot of fans going into that second round, their priority was the left tackle position. Am I good? I thought it first. The left tackle position, and we ended up taking Johnny Newton, and we traded back, and we got, like you said, we got Sam Still from Michigan. We ended up taking Coleman in the third round. He played a lot of guard. A lot of people project him as a guard, but he has played some left tackle throughout his career at TCU. Do you think he projects as a tackle in the NFL? And what did you think of the pick?
Yeah, I like the pick a lot. He was actually a third round value for me, so they got him in round three. And I think with the athletic upside, you can rationalize picking him in the 60s, which is where I think they took him. So, for me, being 6'4", around 320 with over 34-inch arms, like really good combination of natural leverage, good pad level, right? Very good knee bend as well, but also the proportional length where he can get inside guys' frames, and he's got power behind his punches as well. I really like the idea of getting this kind of talent at the very start of his developmental curve, right? He's fairly early in his football career. He didn't start playing football full time until his senior year. He was playing he was in Germany for a long time in his childhood, and he played basketball early on, but he didn't pick up football until later. So already, he has that extensive starting experience at both tackle and guard. And I was projecting him to guard mainly because I thought, the class was a little bit more sparse at guard. So maybe teams in need of that position will invest in him. But the Commanders are unique. They have a need at tackle. And I think he could file in well there. I don't think there's anything forcing the move inside, right? His frame is a little dense, a little squatty, and sometimes that can impact his base width and managing that. There are some times where, his footwork when he's matching can get a little too narrow. So you want to improve that. The hand precision can improve a lot of things that you would expect from a younger tackle. But when I think about the explosive athleticism, the lateral mobility and matching ability, and then also the strength, the power at the point of attack, the torquing ability in the run game as well. I think he has everything that you need to be a high-level starter at tackle in time. It's going to take a little bit of time. There are going to be some bumps along the way early on, but every physical trait that you want is in that compartment.
Yeah, now we got to talk about the elephant in the room. We got to talk about Blade here and Jaden Daniels. Obviously, leading up, Drake May and Jaden Daniels were up there for you. You really like both of these guys. Cliff Kingsbury being the OC here. What should Washington fans expect? Let's just say, hypothetically, that Jaden it does start week one with Cliff Kingsbury. What do you think that the offense is going to look like, and how do you think that his transition to the NFL is going to go in this offense?
For sure. I think if you're going to transition him to the NFL, right, I think one of the reasons the Commanders liked Daniels over May is they thought he was a little more pro ready, which looking at some elements of May's game, I can understand that for sure. I think Daniels has a little bit cleaner mechanics right now, cleaner footwork as well. That's the biggest thing in Kingsbury's offense, vertical timing, a lot of deep shots as well, but also working the middle of the field and taking what's given. Jaden Daniels fits into that pretty well. So in his transition to the NFL, I would try and lean on what he does best, right? So, testing the defense vertically. You got Terry McLaurin, you got Jahan Dotson, a few guys that have that vertical speed as well. And you can test the defense, but at the same time, too, you've got route runners who can stretch the field with those wide receiver looks, four wide receiver, three wide receiver, even. So I think looking at what he can provide there as well, test the defense downfield, use his efficient mechanics on quick throws and timing throws and RPO looks and stuff like that. But then also his athleticism, lean on that too. Get him out in space, spread the field and let him work with that space that he can work with because his athleticism is so special too. So I would play to his strengths in that regard. And as I said multiple times before the draft, I preferred May, but I could see Daniels in Washington because again, if you're Cliff Kingsbury, you're deriving a lot of your systems from spread looks, and that fits twofold with what Daniels likes to do.
Definitely, definitely. And another later round pick that we ended up getting was Jordan Morgan out of Temple University, University of
Jordan
Temple.
McGee.
Jordan McGee, yeah. I was thinking about something else. My bad. Jordan McGee out of Temple. And I think he can get on the field as like a special teamer. And then a lot of people project him maybe down the road to be maybe like a rotational guy or maybe even a starter. How did you like that pick, and what can we expect from a guy like McGee?
Yeah, for sure. And I will admit he's one guy that I didn't get to do a full breakdown on. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to him with a comprehensive scouting report. But from what I was able to see, he's got good size, he's got good length, a little bit lighter, so I think you can pack on a little more mass to that frame. But very explosive closer. I think he plays with a great motor and on defense. And I think there are some really bright flashes of recognition, especially when pursuing laterally on tape as well. So from what I was able to see, I think you get a really solid rotational guy right away, which for the Commanders, they signed Bobby Wagner, they signed Frankie Louvu, so they have some veterans in there to help acclimate him early on. And I think Jordan McGee has the physical tools and the motor to potentially become a starter down the road. I know they declined the fifth-year option for Jamin Davis, so odds are there's going to be a transition there. McGee, I think, could be a really solid special teamer early on. And then with another year of conditioning, adding mass to his frame, refining some of the up and down parts of his game, I think he does have starting upside for sure. So it could be a gem in this class.
My man, Ian. Next question for you. We got to talk about the other guy that was. I think he's a polarizing name because of his brother, but Luke McCaffrey. And How do you see his transition into the NFL? I've heard the comps to Puka. I've heard the comps to Cooper Kupp. How do you see Luke McCaffrey here?
I think he provides you got Terry who can stress defenses vertically with that speed and that body control, right? Really strong elements. And he's a great route runner too. But I think, he provides more of that vertical element with his speed. I think McCaffrey has enough speed for sure. But one thing that really struck me with him is the alignment versatility, right? You hear a name like Puka, and I don't think he's quite at that level, right? I think he has work to do to get there. But I do think he's within that prototype of receiver, right? Where he's that movement Z who you can play in the slot on the boundary off motions as well. You can scheme him some touches, right? He's a former QB, so he understands the offense. He knows how to make life easier for his own QB, right? And then he can work over the middle of the field. He's got pretty solid hands over the middle as well. There's some really bright flashes of ball tracking on film. I think their focus drops can be an issue at times, but you are working with a guy who, around 6'2", 200, pretty solid, lean frame with good size. He's got good play strength, and I think he's got really good fluidity for his size too. So not only does that lend itself to a full route tree, but very, very easy integration on the offense early on. So I think if you want a guy, and Kingsbury traditionally doesn't use a ton of motion, so hopefully they'll implement more this year. But I think McCaffrey can be that motion man who you can move him around, you can use him in different ways, and give Daniels an easy outlet over the middle of the field and on quick completions like that.
You good, Hall?
Yeah. Now the draft's over. I know a lot of people were praising the Commanders' like overall draft and what they did. What would you kind of grade, or how would you look at Adam Peters' overall draft as of right now? Because obviously we don't know about these prospects till like 2-3 years down the road. But just as of kind of looking at it a week or so later, how would you look at that draft class so far?
Yeah, for sure. I'd probably give him an A minus if I had to, right? I'm on the record. I would have preferred Drake May with that QB pick. I think they had enough supporting structure to incubate his growth early on, and I think the potential is top 5 QB in the league, right? So, I wasn't shy about that. I think Drake May would have been a better long-term investment, but Jaden Daniels was still a top 15 player on my overall board, still my top 3 QB, right? So I think he's a great scheme fit as well. So you're not going to hear me knocking the pick. I would give it a solid grade, and I think Jaden Daniels can succeed in that offense with the support that he's been given. On day 2, I think that round 2 was phenomenal, right? I know some people are, gonna be a little apprehensive about the Commanders giving Philadelphia Cooper DeJean, which I can understand, right? I think that's some collateral that will be analyzed later on because DeJean's a great scheme fit for Philadelphia. But the Commanders made out with their own pretty nice haul in that round. They got Johnny Newton, they got Mike Sanders still, and they got Ben Sinnott, my tight end too, who I think can be a really good outlet for Jaden Daniels down the line too, because again, he's got that alignment versatility. He can play H-back, he can play in line in the slot as well. Very good separator with that fluidity. I think he could have, and I think Zach Ertz is here, so he kind of raises your floor right away. But in time, I think Ben Sinnott could become a Sam Laporta type, right? Where he can separate, he can win over the middle, he can generate rack, just a very solid 3-level threat who gives you all of that utility. And they got McCaffrey in round 3. They got some really nice day 3 picks too. I know McGee was a good one. Dominique Hampton, I think, is a great fit for Dan Quinn with that safety. He's big, he's athletic, Quinn has succeeded with those kinds of safeties before. And Javonte Jean-Baptiste is a very good dart swing later on, too. He's more of a speed to power guy, right?
Okay.
A little stiff in the hips, a little high cut with his frame. So bend isn't really a big part of his game. But again, with Dan Quinn, what is the MO for him on the defensive line? It's speed to power. It's being able to generate pressure and disruption from multiple alignments. And I think Javonte Jean-Baptiste, at the very least, has the profile to do that. And then there is maybe some alignment versatile upside for him too. So overall, I thought it was a really solid class. I give it an A minus. We need it to play out for sure. And I would have liked them to maybe address boundary corner a little bit more because I still think that room is pretty questionable. But overall, I liked it.
My man. Okay, last couple questions for you before we let you out of here. I know you're busy. You're a busy man, Ian. But you talked about Ben Sinnott, and I want to ask you, do you think that he is ready to start right away?
Yeah, I do. I was a big fan of him. He was a top 50 player for me. I think if I could, I don't know, it was tough to poke holes in this game, man. The more I think about it, I do think that there is room. There are occasional focus drops again, but I think you're nitpicking at that point. To
Yeah.
me, when I think about whether a guy can start right away, right? Can he separate a number of different routes? He can do that. Can he line up in different spots? He played H-back, in line, in the slot again, all over the place for Kansas State. And then, he can take quick catches for rack, right? He can track over the middle of the field. He's very, very solid in contested situations too, very composed. So I really don't think there's anything stopping him from starting right away. I think the biggest thing is how the Commanders view Zach Ertz right now and his utility as a veteran who's aging, but maybe still has some juice left in the tank. So we'll see how that settles out. But I do think Sinnott can have a role right away. I'll say it like that.
All right, when then Dominic Hampton, second to last, talk about his usage. How do you think that his transition to the NFL? I've heard special teams contributed right away because there are some safeties on this team. Jeremy Reeves brought back the special teams captain himself. Quan Martin is here as well. And then also Derek Force is coming back from injury, and obviously they signed Jeremy Chin. How do you think Dominic Hampton's going to fit in here?
Yeah, I think special teams is a pretty solid role or early on. And for a day three guy, that's a success if you can get a solid special teamer. And I think his traits translate well there. He was one of the highest testing athletes at the safety position, I think around 6'2", over 200 pounds again. So really big, really athletic for sure. I don't know. Here's the thing. They signed Jeremy Chin at safety, right? Who's more of a safety linebacker hybrid, probably strong safety, right? Who's going to play more in the box. Dominique Hampton does overlap with that a little bit. I don't feel super comfortable about him in deep zones because he's not the most fluid on transitions. That said, he is long, he is explosive, he's physical, and he can play overhang. He can play strong safety in the box a little bit too. So I do think there's a outcome where he does play some defense. I think, especially for Dan Quinn, if they can refine his technique a little more. Dan Quinn had Jaron Kearse, who was kind of that hybrid safety who could play big nickel on some snaps. Maybe Dominique Hampton files in there. I don't love the man coverage ability, so that's why I'm a little skeptical there. But I think, as a enforcer at strong safety, potentially, I think he could fit there and could give you some versatility as a weak side linebacker too. I think special teams is probably his immediate role, but there is some upside later on.
Last one I have for you. We got to talk about the Baywatch guy coming in here. Chris Carter at the combine talking about Sam Hartman running by. He's like, look, that's a model. I love that video, Ian. Talk to us about Sam Hartman and his game on the field, what to expect just as a quarterback, and do you think that's somebody that could honestly make the team?
I think he could. It depends on if you're willing to keep three QBs because they got Jaden, they got Marcus Mariota. I think if he does play well in camp, you could be looking at a third QB. I think for me personally, he always graded out as a PFA. I wasn't going to spend a draft pick on him just because he's a little bit smaller. His arm is below average, and you can see that he's not very good at driving velocity down the field, right? So the physical tools aren't really there with him. But one thing that is there with him, not only is this dude, he's composed. He's very poised in the pocket. He'll have a free rusher coming up the B gap and he will stand tall. He will deliver every single time. He's got that poise, that toughness, the competitive mentality that you want in a backup or a third string guy. And then he does flash some pretty impressive situational precision down the field. When he has time to throw and step up, right? He can loft it, he can throw a touch. So I think all of those elements are boding well for him. The biggest thing diluting his stock, and we saw it at the Senior Bowl, right? When he does get pressured, he doesn't have the toolkit that other QBs, athletically and with their arm talent have to withstand that, right? He's pretty modest, pretty, pedestrian when it comes to physical talent and tools. But as a backup, the competitive toughness, the poise, the accuracy, I think if he can show enough of those things in camp, he could earn his way in. And also, he's a great locker room guy. I mean, that part is well documented. This guy's a leader, consummate team player. So I could easily see them keeping him around just because of that.
I absolutely love it. Ian, always appreciate you taking some time out for us. You're already getting started on 2025 because you're psychotic. Obviously, you live for this sort of stuff. But before you get out of here, just like to plug your social media handle just in case anybody watching hasn't followed you yet, Ian, and would like to.
Yeah, you can follow me at IC_draft on Twitter or X, formerly Twitter. I'm gonna keep calling it Twitter. But
So,
yeah, we're gonna have a ton of 2025 content coming off. We've got initial lists already coming down the pipeline, and we'll keep updating as the offseason goes on. I'm gonna take a vacation at some point, but after that, we right back into scouting.
my man, absolutely love it. Ian, have a good night. Enjoy your evening, sir. It's a beautiful, hot day, and make sure you go out and enjoy it, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Ian.
Appreciate it.
All right, everybody, we just spoke with the man, Mr. Ian Cummings. Always appreciate Ian and his time, man. Always appreciate it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
good to see you, man. Now the draft is all over. I know you weren't with us on the show Sunday because I screwed everything up. I forgot about a play date that we had, and we had to push it up, and that's all my fault. But how you doing, man? Hall, you there?
I didn't hear anything you said because my internet right now is like ridiculously like scrabble. So, but
You're fine. But now before we are joined by our next guest, I want to ask this fan question to you, sir. This one was submitted by the Colonel. He said, "I don't understand the pundits' clamor for the Commanders to bring in a veteran receiver like Odell Beckham Jr. Why? We have established veterans. Terry is going into his 5th season, and Jahan can be considered a veteran now too. WTF?"
yeah, no, I get it. A lot of people said that receiver was a need for this team in the draft, and I mean, obviously, we took Luke McCaffrey. So, and Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and everyone's minds, they filled that need, and I do think that I mean, I don't think personally we need someone like Odell. Like, I mean, the more weapons, the merrier. The more weapons is better for a guy like Jaden Daniels coming in for a new offense. Put as many weapons around as possible for him to succeed, but you also got to look at it like, okay, well, they drafted McCaffrey for a reason. So if we're going to sign a guy like Odell, who is he going to be taking snaps and reps from? Is he going to be taking them from? He's not going to be taking them from Jahan. He's not going to take them from Terry. So they might be taking developmental and valuable snaps and reps from a guy like McCaffrey. So I think that McCaffrey at this point in his age is a better slot guy, more twitchy and whatnot, more quick space movement than a guy like Odell who's up there in age. And but I mean that's any vet receiver that's out there, honestly. But yeah, it really just comes down to how Cliff Kingsbury and the offensive staff and Adam Peters evaluate. Obviously, Terry, you know what he is, but is Jahan Dotson more of his rookie year, or is he more of the player he was last year? And in my opinion, I've always gone by the motto: don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. And everyone kept saying they need a receiver, they need a receiver, they need a receiver. They need a big receiver, they need a vet guy, they need a whatever type of receiver, that true number one. Well, obviously they drafted a guy like McCaffrey, and I think they look at Dotson as we can get him back to his rookie year, and we can elevate Terry to keep getting over 1,000 yards every year like he has been. And we get drafted a guy like Sennett who can take up the middle of the field. He can run the route tree, he can separate. So I think in their eyes, they put enough weapons around Jaden for right now. And if they're cool with it, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, look, Colonel, I'm always going to be down for adding more playmakers to this offense, obviously. But with Odell, he went to the Rams a couple years ago, went to the Ravens as well. I think he's chasing rings at this point. No, like fault to him. We'd all be doing that if we were in that position. It doesn't make sense for Odell, but it would make sense if because Odell went to LSU. Maybe Odell has an infatuation with Jaden Daniels and really wants to play with him. If that's the case, then if you want to be a team player, you want to get involved in the rotation and be able to help this football team to be able to win a playoff game and possibly, win the championship, then yeah, come on board. But, there's no reason to bring in somebody that's going to try to garner as much attention as freaking possible in order to, vault themselves, so to speak. Now, the next question from the Colonel, this is a really good one, and I'm extremely excited to answer it. His question is, post-draft analysis revealed the Commanders turned down multiple trade offers to remain at 36 and draft defensive tackle Johnny Newton. Personally, I love the pick, but please comment on this head-scratching selection when it's not a major position of need.
Yeah, so I know, again, this is a lot of people, and I'm just looking at Twitter because I can only gauge that reaction. I can't gauge, like, random person walking down the street's reaction. But I know a lot of people, again, were like, oh, this is where we need our left tackle or a cornerback or even a wide receiver like we just talked about. But wide receiver, that would have been a good pick. Again, more weapons. The more weapons for Jaden, I'm more than happy with that. But if you just look at the value of the pick and where he was projected as a first round pick, a lot of people had him like top 25 on their big boards. For him to fall down to 36, and I know, like, obviously, like I said, the first reaction is kind of like, oh, we have Allen and Payne and we have rotational guys. Like, why would you make a pick like that when we have other needs? But the job of Adam Peters is not only to build a team for right now and to put a competitive team on the field for this year, but he's also thinking next year, 3 year, 5 years down the line. And if you look at a guy like Jonathan Allen, his contract basically has no guaranteed money left. So technically, they could have traded him away for some draft pieces or whatever they needed this year, but they decided to keep him, which I think is a smart move. And I'm gonna probably assume next year he's gonna be trade bait, or maybe even if depending on a team needs a D tackle, injuries, whatnot, at the trade deadline, there's a piece to put up for some trade bait, like we did with Montez and Chase this year, for picks going into next year to even further build this team out even more. So I think that it was a good pick. Again, initial reactions make you go scratch your head when you turn on the film, when you hear what people say about him, and you realize the value of the pick. And when you're looking 5 years down the line, it was a great pick to me.
Colonel, I watched his film today, and my first reaction is, oh my Lanta, because this guy has, honestly, in my honest opinion, does not have any weaknesses. The one glaring thing that comes out when watching Johnny Newton's film is his motor. When you watch, he's trailing run plays. He's trailing pass plays. He's running, dude. And he has a high motor, and that's awesome to see. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. When you talk about his play-by-play basis, he can beat with pass rush moves. His hands are incredible. It's funny because when he's going on in the offensive lineman, he threw down at least 6 different dudes, just using his hands, throwing them down, get them out the way, and because of how strong his hands are. But then that being said, it's not like his bull rush lacks it all. When he does his bull rush, he's gaining penetration against the run. Same exact thing. He does a great job versus the run. So at this point, I'm looking at it saying, where are the weaknesses in Johnny Newton's game? And when I watched him today, Colonel, I gave him the nickname John McClane, because everything that he is disrupting, everything the offense is trying to do by throwing bodies in the way, and you're seeing what he does to some of these quarterbacks in his hand usage. I talked about it with Ian before. They do a stunt play, and the stunt play, say Johnny Newton's in the middle, you got an outside rusher. The outside rusher dives in on the tackle to force the tackle inside. Johnny Newton then wraps around the outside. That's how the stunt works. And so he's running around the left tackle. You're seeing the athleticism in real time, and he almost gets to the quarterback. He is John McClane to me. I am very, very excited about this young man. I think that we got somebody, to be perfectly honest, I'm not trying to crap on anybody or anything, but I think, if not right now, in very near future, he will be the best DT on the team. And I've talked about this before. Dan Quinn is very smart, and he's creative in the way that he uses his defensive players. He'll use them all over the field. I can see Deron Payne being on the outside using the 5 tech. I can see Newton being on the inside the 3 tech with Jonathan Allen as well there, and then Dorrance Armstrong on the outside. We've seen Dan Quinn's defense with Dallas do that before, and when you're talking about those 4 guys who have shown the ability, the athleticism to be able to be fast and coming around the edge, but also imagine having to run against that front 4. That it's going to be difficult. And so, yes, we could say it's a luxury pick at the end all be all, but the fact of the matter is, this kid is freaking good. And when I watched it's literally every play, dude. Every single play, he's making an impact. And now we are joined by our next guest. And this one I am very excited to be able to talk to, because I did not know about my guy right here. And his name, you guys obviously know him from his reactions on YouTube. I just found out about Janky Rondo the other day on Twitter when I saw his reaction to the Jaden Daniels pick. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but he actually levitates out of his chair onto his bed. He knocks down everything. But now we are joined by him. How you doing, Janky Rondo? How you doing, man?
So what's up? What's up? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you're good to go, brother.
Sure.
How you doing?
So what's up, man?
Dude, it's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Hot outside.
No, you're not kidding. But before we get into like the now stuff and everything like that, kind of talk to us a little bit about yourself, brother. How long you been a fan of the team? You know, like how has everything gone up to this point? How long you been doing YouTube?
Well, I've been a fan of this team ever since I was born. To be honest, I was kind of like born in it, in this
Just like
fan
us all.
base. Yeah. You know, always got a couple of Cowboys fans in the family. So, you know what I'm saying? Gotta be different from them and don't want to represent them. But, yeah, so been a Commanders fan slash Redskins fan all my life. And I started doing YouTube probably like I want to say like 2020 during COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, and what happened? Oh yeah, I don't know if you guys remember the Tennessee game with Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Oh, he was on the 1 yard line, and yeah.
You know what?
Unfortunately, we all remember that.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, I do remember that video of you and your reaction to that Carson Wentz thing. But when you started doing the video reactions, like live streaming the games and everything, is that just an idea that you had that you were like, you know what, I want to watch this everybody on, I want to react to it, or is this something you saw before that you wanted to recreate?
Nah, so you know what's so crazy? So like basically, long story short, it was one day I be live streaming too. So
Okay.
it was one day I was like, you know what, it's a good Sunday. I think I missed that game too because I was at work.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just stream for my supporters and we're gonna react to this game because they know before like I even dropped like a Commanders theme YouTube video. I like at this point I never dropped anything. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna react to it. I reacted to it, and then the funny reaction happened. Boom, somebody clipped it. I don't even know. Somebody was in my chat. It was a Commanders fan, and then they clipped it. They posted on Twitter and they went crazy. I was like, damn. So let me go post it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Let me go post it on YouTube. Post on YouTube, it had like 10K in like a day. So I was like, all right, well, we go do that. I'm gonna just keep posting.
Smart man, because I'll tell you what, man, you are very gifted. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, when I saw that video after the Jaden Daniels selection, dude, I was dying. I was on the job site. I was dying laughing. I actually met two Commanders fans on that job site down in L Street in Northwest, and I showed that to them. We were all laughing about it just to show that you are very charismatic. A lot of people are attracted to you, dude. Because I will say, I'm actually kind of mad I didn't follow you before, but I'm glad that I finally did because that was hysterical. But first things first, just as you as a fan, being a lifelong Commanders fan, just like us two, talk about the selection of Jaden Daniels and just looking forward for this football team.
Very electric. Obviously, I think everybody wanted the Caleb Williams back home situation, but obviously, you know what I'm saying, the Bears, they didn't already messed up on Mahomes. They can't mess up on this one. Boom. We landed with Jaden Daniels. I'm cool with that. I've seen Jaden Daniels highlights during draft day. Very electric. We'll give his receivers the ball. That's how I can say that. Throwing jump balls, 50-50 balls, and we already know who Terry McLaurin is. You know what I'm saying, 50-50 ball demon. I feel like I don't really want to put like an expectation on him because I feel like if we keep doing that, because we do that, I feel like us as a fan base, we do that with every quarterback we get, and including Sam Howell, unfortunately. But
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, so I think he'll have a good little season this year, but I don't really want to put too much on him. So yeah.
My man, look, so what we usually do, Rondo, because with our really good friends that we usually answer fan questions with, but I also wanted to give you the time to kind of talk about yourself, get to know you a little bit, and I think you're a really good dude. So I want to ask you this question from Average Fly Guy. Hall, if you want to ask Rondo your own question or answer this question from Fly Guy, you can as well after. But this question from Fly Guy is, what's more likely to happen, Rondo? Coleman from TCU becomes our starting left tackle and has a good career in Washington, or Forbes becomes a Pro Bowl cornerback?
Oh man,
Tough.
Man, that's a great question. That is a great question. We all know what Forbes did last year, but last year. That's tough. I mean, the Coleman guy, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't watched his film yet. Not gonna lie, but I seen that he got a great size. Like I think he's like 6'7", something like that.
He's 6'4", 320, but his RAS score is even above Trent Williams. So just everyone knows about Trent's strengths and everything like that, but this dude ran a 4.9 40 at 320, incredible short shuttle, very, very athletic dude. And so the big question is everyone keeps talking about is he a tackle? Is he a guard? Is he a left tackle?
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Yeah, I ain't a lot about it. His magical. It sounds like he a guard, right?
Yes, but honestly, I watched him today, and the crazy thing is I heard that he had actually battled through injury this season, and that he played injured. And one thing I've always said is I want my offensive linemen, have like a bent finger and still be out there blocking and working their butt off, right? And obviously he bumming his ass through injury. He's doing a great job at it. But when you watch 2023, the national championship game against Georgia, he held his own at left tackle. And for 4 plays in that Georgia game, they moved him to right tackle. And he actually looked even better at right tackle for me personally. And so I think fly guy for me personally. I think that he is going to transition and can be a right tackle. And the big thing is his athleticism tells you that he can do everything that you need out of a right tackle. Because when you go against a guy like Minka Parsons and others like that, they're going to have speed. And you better have some big dudes, thick guys that can be able to move their feet very well and be able to match the speed on those rushers. And that's something that Brandon Coleman does possess. But with Emmanuel Forbes, fly guy, I will say the more likelihood is Forbes because of what Dan Quinn, what Joe Witt have proven time and time again with taking defensive backs and being able to produce incredible amount of turnovers at this point.
Yeah, I totally
yeah, I agree with that too. I'd probably say Coleman becoming a left tackle just because, I mean, it's hard to make the Pro Bowl as a cornerback in the NFC. There's a lot of good cornerbacks that are coming into the draft as rookies and a lot of established cornerbacks already in the NFC. And I mean, honestly, like the only way I see Forbes really getting to a Pro Bowl is if he has like 4, 5, 6 interceptions in a season, which is possible. You know, he's touted as a ball hawk coming out of college, and he's working with Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. So we'll see. But I just think, like you said, Coleman has all the traits to be a left tackle. He has a crazy, crazy wingspan. I think he was a basketball player before he even started playing football in like his senior year of high school. So he has good footwork more than likely. And he talked about TCU. He played left tackle 2022 for TCU, that national championship team. Had a really, really good year playing left tackle. So I would just probably say that Coleman can probably be a left tackle over Forbes becoming a Pro Bowler. Sorry, Forbes, you're still my guy, but
he's still all of our guys. We still have hope in him. Coleman, I heard some people talk about Coleman's game against Georgia. He did give up a sack, but it was an incredible pass rush rep because he's hand fighting with the defensive end, and the defensive end is able just at the last moment after the hand fighting, able to swat his hands down and get around to tackle the quarterback. And so I've seen some of those stats put out there, but he did give up a sack. But look, man, that's top tier competition. Going TCU versus Georgia, obviously, and we all know about Georgia's defense, top of line, elite of college football. Sorry, my brother, I asked you a terrible question to start that off. But the next one is from Yam Sensei. All right, Rondo.
Yep.
Who local sports journalist has the most brick takes?
Ooh, that's. What's his name? I forgot. I want to say his name is Scott.
Scott Jennings.
I think I'm not much. Yeah, I want to say I'm not. I don't want to. I think it's Scott.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. We're just poking fun. It's Scott Jennings. Yeah. I think you're right about that.
Yeah. Scott Jennings. But it's a lot of people. I ain't gonna lie, it's a lot of people out there with kind of crazy takes, honestly. But
myself included. I mean, in late February, I was still talking about Caleb Williams, his whole conspiracy theory that he was going to be drafted by us at number 2. The Bears weren't going to actually draft him. So yeah. I would say me, Yam Sensei. But in all honesty, I think there's a lot of people out there. But I do think that I love Chris Russell. Just like I know Chris Russell flies off the handle a lot. He does. He's like that one wacky uncle. He is.
Dude, if you call him a racist, man,
that was in.
Blow his head off like one of them airhead, like little like Candy Jones, like just.
It was so funny, man. I felt so bad for him. He was, that R. Kelly video. I'm fighting for my fucking life. That was Chris Russell at that point. Now, Rondo, our next question. This one was submitted by actually a huge supporter of our show. I actually did not know this, but T Carps. He asked this on from me earlier in Twitter. He said, "I love listening to y'all. So we all know this coaching staff and front office has no strings attached to players brought in before them. But do you think they view Braden Daniels as an upside guy still? We know he didn't play last year as he was put on IR and was put there, so he didn't go to practice squad. I'm a big Redskins podcast listener and noticed John Keim and all the others haven't even mentioned Daniels. So I was curious what maybe you thought."
Braden Daniels.
He was the third or fourth round tackle last season. It's so funny.
That name, it sounds familiar. I don't know why. Let me go. Literally, my search bar, Google comes right here to my left. Let me see, because Braden Daniels. His name sounds so familiar, though. I'm not going, oh, him. We did draft him.
MIA last year. MIA.
Yeah, literally. Dang. I remember. It was like 4th round, right?
Yep,
I know it. What was the question again? My bad.
Like, do you think that the coaching staff now views him as still a guy with upside, or do you think that they're kind of washing their hands of that situation?
Nah, I feel like, in my opinion, you got to give him an opportunity. I mean, you have no film in him. Like, in his rookie season, honestly. So, I mean, I feel like you can honestly give him a chance to show what he can do.
And every single day that goes by, Rondo, I keep thinking that Ron Rivera is trying to get fired with these draft picks. Because, dude, honestly, because like I was a huge proponent of DeJuan Jones. I had him
Yeah.
as a third-rated offensive tackle in that draft last season. I was screaming from the mountaintops. I was even drafting him in the first round. He was one of the most productive tackles in the league last season. And
Right.
we, in the fourth round, we went and got Braden, and he doesn't even dress, not once. Now, that being said, he is athletic. He is that kind of thinner build. And could he transition to guard and be depth? Of course. But like you said, we don't know exactly what they're looking for. But if you're looking at an MO, I think the athleticism is obviously an upside for Braden Daniels. And so we're not in the, I don't think we're in the position to shoo anybody away because like everyone is screaming for our offensive tackle at this point before the draft. And so do we really want to walk away from anybody at this point? I'm not 100% sure, but I think Rondo was actually right in saying that we should probably give him a chance. What about you, Hall?
Well, I guess I'm gonna be the asshole because I'm gonna be the one to be like shoo because, like you said, like some of them draft picks last year, you really had you scratching your head, like, huh? And like you said, could he be having upside? Maybe, possibly, but the rumor was last year that they didn't even want to put him on the practice squad because he was going to take up a practice squad spot. That's how bad he was. So they would just like make up an injury for him and go on IR type thing. And I feel like maybe that.
No.
Oh, that was the rumor. Don't shoot the messenger.
Just kidding.
I know, but no, I mean, I feel like at best this year, coming off the injury, they don't really have any film on him. Know what he's really about. You've already seen them turn over like 60% of the roster or something like that, something crazy like that. So I feel like at best he could maybe possibly make the practice squad this year, but at the same time, it's like you said, they don't really have allegiance to anybody on this team, as you saw with all the roster turnover. So could I see him getting cut? I could definitely see him getting cut. Could I see him being on the practice squad? Sure, but I would probably lean, as of right now, towards the getting cut side.
Now, Rhonda, I'm actually going to ask you a question that I'm sure you're going to absolutely love. But have you seen the opponents that Washington is going to be playing this season? Obviously, we don't know the schedule just yet. It should be out soon. Have you seen that?
I've seen it.
Which one of those games? Which one are you circling that you're really, really wanting to be able to stream?
Read them out real quick if you're able to.
The home opponents, we have Dallas, New York, and Eagles, obviously. Chicago, Carolina, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Tennessee. The away games, obviously the NFC East, Ravens, Saints, Cardinals, Bengals, and the Bucks. That Bengals one is looking juicy.
Definitely the Bengals.
The two LSU quarterbacks.
You said Ravens. We got the Ravens, right?
Yep. Oh.
I want the Ravens bad. I'm not gonna lie. And it's only because like they're just so like each year, each and out there, they're just good. They don't even have the best players at every position, but they still find a way to win every single year. And I'm not gonna lie, I know it's like the battle of the Beltway, but we have been the little brother of the Beltway. I'm not gonna lie, respectfully. So
you're right.
That Ravens game, that's really going to like tell us. In my opinion, I feel like that game is really going to tell us like who are we as a team, because everybody know the Ravens, hard smash mouth football. They're gonna keep running until you quit. So Ravens is on circle.
That is a great pull because we've said this before on the pod. When Washington is a good team, they beat the Ravens. Like in 2012 with RG3, remember Kirk Cousins had that quarterback running for the touchdown? My wife and I were actually at that game. Never forget it. When we actually beat the Ravens, like in the regular season, we're actually very good. I'll never forget that preseason game last season. Joey Sly throwing up the L. Like that was the last.
That was like the highlight of the season.
Yeah,
last
that was
year.
the last game they played as a team. Honestly, to be perfectly honest about it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rondo, next player for you. Next question. Of course, comeback player of the year.
I think Forbes got to be number one right there.
Forbes?
I'm hoping for Forbes. I'm hoping. Oh, see, no. I'll take that back. My boy Jahan.
I was about to say Jahan. Yeah, I was gonna say my guy Jahan about to have a bounce back.
I know Jahan likes you.
Yeah. So now me getting to know Jahan, like he's very humble and he's not gonna like complain about like last year. You know what happened last year. So basically, he wasn't crying for the ball. He wasn't just talking about not getting the ball enough. So I feel like we know what his potential is. We've seen it his rookie year, literally. And if he did it with Carson Wentz, then if he can't do it with Jaden Daniels, I don't know what can he do with respect. So I think Jahan, he's number one candidate for comeback player of the year for sure.
Then that goes into my next question for you then. Your next jersey, because obviously your reaction with Jaden Daniels, but with Jahan, you know, and everything like that, what would be your next jersey? Are you going to go with Jaden?
All right. Now, I don't know if you've seen the video, but I've literally bought a jersey of Chase Young, unfortunately.
I have one too. I think I have two of them actually.
Yeah, and every time we lose, like a bad way, I end up throwing my jersey in the woods every time. So I don't know. If I was to get another jersey, it'd probably be Jade. I'm not going.
Yeah,
it'd probably be Jade.
I agree with you. What about the number? Are you a big dude into the jersey number with this aspect?
Yeah, Tress Wade got number 5. So it's like,
Yep.
I don't know who's gonna get it. I mean, I love Tress Wade. Don't get me wrong, but he been here for 30 years, so Jaden just got him. Let him get it. Just let him, you know.
I said it. Trustway needs to rock 100 and be able to do that for us. I would absolutely love it. Rondo, would you want to finish this up with us for the next 15 minutes, or do you got to go?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I got time.
Bro, my man. Fuck yeah,
Sure.
dude. All right, let's answer some fan questions from the Discord, brother. This one, Hall, I'll go to you first, just so I don't put Rondo on the spot again. But this one is headed from Tim Towner. He said he's heading to Cajun country, where it's all about food. What is the most exotic food you have ever eaten? For me, when I was in upstate New York, I had ostrich, and who knew? But it's red meat and still tastes like chicken, but so do frog legs. He says, I am insane now.
Man, you asking the wrong person. I'm like a picky ass eater. Like if I look at it and it looks all weird, and if you tell me like, hey, this is kangaroo thigh or something crazy like that, I'm gonna be like, oh, get that away from me. So, I mean, I don't even most exotic thing. I haven't even tried deer. Like I'm like, oh, I don't want no deer. So,
Yeah.
yeah, nothing crazy.
Dude,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't even
exactly-
eat no crazy stuff like that.
That is exactly what I thought when he asked this question. I was like, dude, I haven't tried anything exotic. But if Reed
Bro, if I could survive off French fries and wings the rest of my life, I probably would.
if Reed was on this show right now, you know exactly what he would say about eating meat, and we don't need to get into that because we have Rondo on here, and we have to uphold ourselves to a high standard here. Rondo,
I'm just like God, man. I promise you, I'm just like God.
Rondo, what's the most exotic thing you've ever eaten?
I want to say calamari, to be honest. Yeah,
I have had calamari actually, so yeah.
Kind of nasty, not gonna lie. I don't like it. I don't like the texture of it, to be honest. Outside of it being fried.
Yeah, the fried aspect is really good.
Yeah.
Calamari, I can't even say. I love Cajun food myself. Like I would go for a mean jambalaya. Never forget that one time on Twitter, I posted a picture. I went to Not Your Average Joe's. I didn't want anything else there. I got their jambalaya, and I posted, and everyone's like, "There's noodles in that?" And they started frying me. I was like, "What?" I'm sorry, I just ordered it. I couldn't ask them to exchange it out to make sure it's actual jambalaya. You know, I just enjoyed it, dude. People take that stuff seriously, and I understand it. But now,
I'm not gonna lie, I never heard of jambalaya with noodles. I heard it with rice.
Right.
Noodles sounds kind of crazy though.
it
What's
is
jambalaya?
crazy.
What's that?
It's a Cajun jambalaya. It's like a bunch of spices that it has in it, but you have cut sausage in it, shrimp, scallops. Am I mistaken? If you go down that route, I think there's scallops is in it.
Yeah, they got like everything in the chicken, like
Spices
bunch of stuff.
galore, dude. It is so
corn.
good. It's like one of those that if you want to like clear your congestion and like eat some jambalaya, real jambalaya, and that'll be able to clear it up for you. Next thing on your next list, Rondo, try some jambalaya, my friend.
Yeah, it sounds fire.
Now, this next question is from Deluxe. Rondo, not to put you on the spot, but Deluxe's thought process here is Mitchell Rails was on a podcast, a minority owner of the Commanders, and kind of talk about the business aspect of the Commanders. And he was looking into making a Washington Hall of Fame here in D.C. or in the Maryland region for Washington fans to go to. What was one thing that you would put in the Washington Hall of Fame?
All right. So this is going to be kind of biased, but I would put, now there's I have a popular meme out there of me jumping out of my chair to Terry McLaurin. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I will put that in the Washington Hall of Fame. Say not all jokes aside though. I to be honest, probably Sean Taylor. To be honest, like 100%. We already know what we got. Y'all seen what we put in the stadium, right? The little stick figure thing. Yeah,
Yep.
I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. So
stick figure.
we got to do him. We got to do him right. We got to do him right for sure.
You're absolutely right, and you stole my first one. I was going to say Terry McLaurin. Just the fact of what Terry has done here without much quarterback help, and now that he's finally had the quarterback, obviously very excited for him. But I think Terry McLaurin at this point deserves to be in the Washington Hall of Fame, given with everything surrounding this football team since he's been drafted. The guy has not said a damn word in displeasure besides saying, I ran a lot today. I did a lot of cardio. That was his quote last year. That was the worst thing that he said about Washington up until this point. So for me, I'm putting Terry McLaurin in this jersey right here. It's going right in the Washington Hall of Fame. I know he didn't win a Super Bowl. I get it. I'm just saying he deserves it. Me as a younger guy, not as the old cats, I got to see all the Super Bowls as you privileged folk out there. So I have to sit here. I'm going to say Terry McLaurin.
Oh, facts. Now, not to butt you, but people be calling me crazy. In my opinion, I know this might sound crazy, but at the same time, it is what it is. I'm a Terry McLaurin fan. I think Terry McLaurin better than Megatron.
What? Can you explain
That's in my opinion.
What?
Hey, I love me some Terry McLaurin. I'm not gonna argue with you.
You say explain?
Now,
Yeah.
what would I do for the Hall of Fame thing? I'd probably find like a picture, or like a clip or something of B Mitch like stiff arming somebody to the ground, or like punishing somebody on a block, or trucking somebody like that. And I would like make a statue into that, because my man deserves to be in the real Hall of Fame, like the actual NFL Hall of Fame. He deserves a gold jacket.
Yeah.
So if they ain't gonna get him into the Hall of Fame, definitely get him a not even a bust, but a whole statue in the Washington Hall of Fame.
I got
facts.
you. Rondo, do you want to explain it, or could we go?
Oh, yeah. Terry McLaurin doesn't drop the ball. Terry McLaurin, 3 straight 1,000-yard receiving yards. Cool. Overall, the dude is just, in my opinion, he doesn't get as force-fed as Calvin Johnson, obviously, but in my opinion, I just feel like overall he's just better. Respectfully, give it about like 2 years, and he's gonna probably do everything that Magic Johnson is gonna do everything that Calvin Johnson has done in his entire career, in my opinion.
That's funny because Calvin did play like Magic Johnson in the NFL. It is kind of crazy because they were putting like punt return on him. But you make a great point. Good look. I've said for a while, now that everyone's believing me, that Terry McLaurin is an elite wide receiver in this league. The big difference was that he just didn't have a quarterback to be able to feed him all the frickin' time. But now he obviously does. Next question, Rondo. This is from Tim Towner. It's a really good one. Who is the most hated quarterback in the NFL, and why should it not be Kirk Cousins?
Ooh, in the NFL, that's a ooh. Most hated quarterback in the NFL. We're doing starters?
It doesn't matter. Can be anybody.
I'm gonna still go Carson Wentz. I'm gonna keep it above.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, you ain't lying. People do legitly hate that dude.
Yeah, what he did. Never in my life I called the cops on that man. Like, do you know how bad that is? Me calling the cops on somebody is crazy. I don't even know from a can of paint. You know what I'm saying?
Wait.
You didn't see that video?
No, dude, I just remembered the video about the strip club.
Yeah.
You called it for Jahan, right? That's what happened?
No. We called that for the offensive line.
Oh, for the offensive line.
Yeah. And you know what's so crazy? The next week they were playing perfect. That's what I'm saying. They played perfect.
Maybe they listened to you.
Right.
Honestly, who was the most hated quarterback in the NFL? I'll probably say Russell Wilson. And it's like no slight to Russell. He's a God-fearing man, so I respect the heck out of him, obviously. But the Dangerous sandwich and all that, I think it's warranted. I mean, just watch that commercial again, dude. It is so cringy, man.
It's also because people like Future like way more than like Russell Wilson.
That's true.
Not facts.
Yeah, that's actually.
But no, I'd probably say outside of Philly, I think it's like unless you're like in Philly, you love Jalen Hurts, but I think people like don't like really like Jalen Hurts like that because I feel like he gets propped up and so like hyped up when he's like just like slightly above average to me. Like he has like all these rushing touchdowns, but like if you look at really like all his rushing touchdowns, there's like most of them are like from the tush push. So like okay, and if you really look at his
Okay.
passing stats and yards like that, he's only had that one like super good year when they went to the Super Bowl, like Super Bowl run. You know what I'm saying? Like so, I don't
Facts,
know. I'm gonna say
facts.
Jalen Hurts. Maybe that's like personally like bias thing. I don't like Jalen Hurts.
Rondo, I appreciate it. I just got that notification, by the way. You didn't have to do that, brother. The
Nah,
next
for sure.
My man. Next question from Yam Sensei. With Jaden's supposed propensity to be maybe a two-read quarterback before pulling down and taking off, do you think that's something that Cliff will either adapt to or coach out? Also, with multiple running backs and tight ends now likely coming out starting day one, will we finally get to see some multi-back and multi-tight end sets like we thought we see with Eric Bieniemy?
Ooh, that's tough.
Do you think Cliff will take the running aspect away from Jaden to take him away from running all the time, or do you think it's something that he's going to highlight and try to push more of?
I don't know. I think me personally, I feel like he's probably gonna. I, is it good to answer is it good to answer like this? I feel like he's gonna let Jaden be Jaden.
No, that's a perfect answer because that's exactly what Cliff has said.
Yeah.
Not only Cliff, when Pat Mahomes talked about Cliff Kingsbury, that's what he said about Cliff. He said he's not trying to mold you into a certain quarterback. He's just going to highlight what I do well. And we've
Right.
seen that with Kyler Murray. And I think Jaden Daniels actually had a quote to Zach Selby, staff writer for the Commanders, recently saying, like, that's what he's really looking forward to because that's what Cliff has done in every situation he's gone to. So, Rondo, that was a perfect answer, man.
Yeah, because from his Arizona stint, I was looking into it a little bit. It was the good, it was the bad. You know, the good is you got Kyler Murray, you got weapons, you can air raid all day if you want, and then you can mix in with the run. Cool. The bad is I feel like he throws too much and he probably thinks like he overthinks. So I mean, if he just me personally, I feel like if he just let Jaden be Jaden and let the game come to him, I think he'll run the offense perfect.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I don't want to take the running aspect away from Jaden, right? I don't think Cliff is interested in doing that either.
Yeah.
But the one thing I would say to Jaden is study Lamar Jackson and study Tyreek Hill on the run. Lamar is incredibly gifted at being able to get down before being hit or being able to get out of bounds, something RG3 literally just could not grasp in his career. Tyreek Hill actually does that as a wide receiver, and it doesn't get highlighted a lot. It doesn't get talked about, but he's really good at it. Being a
Tyler
small
Lockett's good at that too.
who?
Yeah, facts.
Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, he
You
is.
never
And,
see Tyler Lockett get like the huge hit, like
right.
explosion hit, going across the middle. He's always like doo doo doo, and try to make a juke move and be like nope, and just go to the ground. So yeah, he's
Saving
smart.
years in his career.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And the one
Yep.
thing that we know about Jaden is he's going to force defenses to have to keep eyes on him. And so you want them to be scared. You want them to be worried about Blade and if he's going to be able to rush out of the pocket. But the big thing is when that hit does come, because we all know you play football, you know defense, they want to inflict pain upon the opponent. And when they see number 5 running out of that backfield, they're going to want to hit him as hard as possible. So, Jaden, we just got to be a little bit smarter. Let's study some of the elites at this and what they do and being able to get down and get out of bounds so you stay healthy long term. Yes, you'd like for a guy to be able to fight for extra yardage, but does that 5 extra yards really matter at the end of the day if you're missing 6 games after it? Ultimately. And that's where I rest in saying that you got to be smart, and I'm sure he is. He's going to work at it 100%, obviously. Anything else,
I
boys?
got a I got a question for you before real quick. Why do you keep calling Jaden Daniels Blade?
Because you didn't see his presser? He wore the sunglasses.
With the sunglasses. All right, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. When he did the first presser, remember with the black backdrop right after the draft? Dude, he looked like Blade in that one scene of the first scene where he's holding up the knife like this. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He
All
looked
right, I
just like
get
Blade
it. I
with the
got you. I
black
got you.
suit
I
and
thought
everything.
you like saying he like fought vampires or something. I was like, oh, that's tight.
Well, basically he did in the SEC. See him out there, the Daywalker. Because the Daywalker Blade being able to walk during the day, but also half vampire, half whatever. But that's what kind of Jaden is as a runner. But also, there's also a double meaning to it because Adam Peters said in his presser after the draft, he said Jaden Daniels slashes as a runner. Now, put 2 and 2 together, my brother, because Blade has the sword. doing the circle with it. You know what I'm talking about? It's just a badass character. Okay.
Okay, that's why I asked the question. I was like
I don't know why you're
legitimately curious.
attacking
You kept
me.
calling him Blade.
Don't worry. I will literally. Don't worry. If he has a, well, no, I ain't. If Jaden Daniels has a decent season, I will make a permanent nickname from him. I promise you.
Okay. Thank you, Rondo,
Bet.
my man.
Bet.
Please do that because I'm terrible at it.
We got Thanos. We got Thanos. Y'all know what Thanos is, right?
Yep. B-Rob.
B-Rob. I can't say what Nick Gates was because
He
that's
got
kind of
shot and came back 6 weeks later.
Well, yeah, but yeah, don't trust me. I'm gonna find one for him for sure.
My man.
It's either
Rondo,
Blade or something else for sure.
My man, Rondo, this was a lot of fun, man. I'm glad that I'm able to start following you. I really appreciate you accepting the invite to come on here. I know it's kind of like out of like your comfort zone, and so to speak, and just being able to come on here. But dude, I really do appreciate your time. I hope we can do this again because this was a lot of fun, man. I think you're a hell of a dude. Funny as heck and very smart, obviously, as well. And obviously with guys like Jahan and others who are very smart that like you, they do that for a good reason, right? Rondo, before we get out of here, well, this is going to go on YouTube. Everyone on YouTube already knows you. But just in case the people on Twitter haven't followed you yet and would like to, sir, if you'd like to supply your social media handle.
Hell nah. Everybody go subscribe to the Burgundy Zone right now. Get me right now. Y'all know what I'm saying? Y'all can find me. But everybody just subscribe to the Burgundy Zone right now. Get them to what's y'all goal? What's y'all goal?
To be happy. That's my goal. That's my goal.
Subscribe to them so much to get them happy and put a smile on their face, bro.
There you go, my man Rondo. I can't thank you enough, man. Seriously, being able to sit on here with us for 30 minutes, I really do appreciate you doing that, man.
So,
all right, everybody, we'll see you guys again on Sunday. Have a great week. I'm Kyle.
Oh,
and we'll
Rondo.
There you go, and we'll see you on Sunday. Washington football. Woo! What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.